Sixers, Nets. Joel Embiid hits a sick Euro.
Ooh.
Look at that.
That is a huge, that's not just a 7-footer. That is a bulky, burly 7-footer doing the Euro step. That's nasty.
Steps.
That's
he's light on his feet.
That's an ankle breaker. Like, DeAndre had no chance, and if I'm DeAndre, I'm moving right out the way.
I think Embiid Euro'd on his way back down the court, too. Rockets, Warriors, Rockets with the steal. James Harden finds a high-flying Russell Westbrook for this alley-oop slam.
Russ still has some hops in those legs.
Oh, he's got a lot. He's still.
And how about Harden's defense right there?
Oh.
Who said he don't D up? Did you say that, Vince?
Yes, I have.
He heard you. He showed you right there.
Possession by possession. Oh, this was a good one. Hawks Heat, Trae Young.
Why you do the senior citizen like that?
Oh, he did everyone like that.
That's Iguodala. That's the stopper.
Well, Iguodala still needs to get his legs under. He's got a little bit of time. He's been golfing. He's been golfing for a while.
I mean, I've never seen that done.
Yeah, don't hit back.
Stumbling. At least he didn't fall.
All right, on to some bad news for the Nets. Kyrie Irving will undergo season-ending arthroscopic surgery on his right shoulder. Six-time All-Star played just 20 games in his first year in Brooklyn. The Nets GM Sean Marks said, quote, "We are looking at the big picture here. We're not looking at the next 2 to 3 months." And guys, you know I call just about every game of the Brooklyn Nets around this team all the time. And I think the big question now becomes the injury history for Kyrie Irving. How do you look at things moving forward? I mean, the fact that he's just 27 years old in his 9th season. To me, though, again, you never know with a player. This can be a concern for a lot of players. And to me, I look at the fact that it's been different injuries. So he's going to have the shoulder surgery now. It was the kneecap. He's had another knee injury on the other on the other knee. In college at Duke, it was the toe that he struggled with. So to me, when it's different parts of your body, sometimes that gives me more hope that it's just about trying to continue to get your body right and try and work the rehab. And I think, you know, this whole injury throughout the course of the season, we say he played in just 20 games. He had missed 26 straight. A lot of that came from the fact that he and the Nets medical staff and him going to see different specialists, they were trying to figure out what was going on with it. And so he gets the cortisone shot right around Christmas time and gives it some time to see what the circumstance was like. He was playing well. I mean, he's had 2 50-point games this season. He had a 45-point game this season. When he was on the court, when he was healthy, he was extraordinary. But I think now it gives him time to just not even worry about it, not think about it, get himself right from top to bottom. And we know for this Nets team, I mean, still in 7th place there in the Eastern Conference, looking to get into the playoffs. They've got a solid core. But for him not to be wondering and beating up his body anymore and just to know this is the plan and the process moving forward.
No, this is the smart thing to do. I mean, he's out for the season, have the surgery, get yourself right for next year. Because we all know, even if he had stayed healthy this year, it wasn't about this year. Yeah, you'd like him to develop chemistry with his teammates, but it's about next year. KD and Kyrie both healthy. See what you can do in the Eastern Conference. Now, this has to be a concern, though, going forward. Because Kyrie, I get what you're saying about the different body parts, and maybe that's positive. But on the other hand, you got to look at it and just understand his body's fragile. It's just as simple as that. I mean, you mentioned at Duke he was injured, only played 11 games. Comes into the NBA, gets injured, fractures his hand during Summer League by hitting a pad on the wall.
Facial fracture.
Yeah, and he's only played 70 or more games 3 times in his 9 seasons. So he's going to be 28 in March. And it's hard to say he's going to get sturdier and healthier the older he gets. We've seen this happen before with great point guards. And ironically, I think the best comparison is Deron Williams. And Deron Williams, first half of his career, he's on his way to a Hall of Fame career. When he gets with the Nets and re-signs the big deal with them, the injuries just started kicking in and he was never the same. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Kyrie. And Kyrie probably already has had a Hall of Fame career. He's probably already a Hall of Famer. I tend to think he is in my book. And I just hope he doesn't go the way of Deron Williams and that he can stay healthy. I don't doubt that when he plays, he's going to be lights out. I mean, this dude is phenomenal. When he's on the court, he's going to do damage. But I am questioning going forward, how much is he going to be able to be on the court? And maybe some type of load management might be in order.
If you say Kyrie's a Hall of Fame, I'm afraid of that speech he's going to give.
Do you disagree?
I don't know if he's a Hall of
Great
Famer.
individual numbers.
One of the greatest shots.
One of the arguably the best shot in NBA history. Arguably.
Absolutely.
And then put up great numbers too.
But my question.
Best ball handler in NBA history.
I didn't
Absolutely.
get the Hall of Fame conversation.
Absolutely. No. I was kind of shocked at that one, Chris, but I forgot Chris.
I want to hear this.
Chris is from Cleveland, so no, I don't want to cringe.
I'm all over. I'm Cleveland and Jersey.
All of that. My thing with Kyrie is, if he's going to be your second best player and the Nets are trying to build for a championship, your first best player has to be LeBron. It can't be Kevin Durant, because when I say this, LeBron is a system in a way that Kevin Durant is not.
He is his own system.
He's his own system. Kevin Durant is a guy that fits and exists outside of any system. He can get you a bucket in any situation. How can you build a team around the player who is pretty much unreliable from a health standpoint, and he plays the most important position on the floor at point guard? Like, I have fears about Kyrie's durability long term. I get what you're saying. It's different injuries every time. It's freak stuff, but it's freak stuff. You never know where it's going to come from. It's not an accumulation injury. It's not an ACL or an Achilles. That's something that comes from playing basketball over long stretches of time. Load management only works when you know exactly what you're looking for. With Kawhi, you knew it was the quad and the knee, so you can kind of work around that and manage his load. With Kyrie, it's something so different every time. This time it's the shoulder. What are you preparing for? Are you preparing for the shoulder next time? Are you preparing for the knee? Are you preparing for a hand? Like, what do you do? And then what type of culture are you building around that when you have Spencer Dinwiddie still there, Karis LeVert still there? How are you guys allowing to develop when you have to bring in a Kevin Durant who's going to be high maintenance and they haven't played with this guy before? Like, you only have a 2-year window before guys can start opting out of contracts. This isn't 7-year contracts. You have a short window to maximize what you have with these guys. So you have to see what you have with these guys first. And the Eastern Conference is only getting better as time goes on.
Well, I will agree with you on that, but to me, the Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert point is why I think the load management, or what Kyrie's never played less than his rookie year was the least amount of games he played. It was 51. But other than that, more often than not, I think last 6 years he had once less than 60 games. It's different injuries. I get what you're saying about the load management, but you got two guys that can play the point, they can play off the ball. Same can be said for Kyrie Irving. I think it just becomes a question of how you're going to utilize these players, and maybe just not relying on Kyrie to be your only point guard. The ability to use a durable and available player like a Spencer Dinwiddie, that's how do you build around Kyrie and Kevin Durant? Who do you need to fill the pieces in with them, understanding that there may be times he needs to take games off? And I'm not sure how you even approach that heading into next season. And also, just given the fact, and I watched this with him, he got the facial fractures early in training camp and through the preseason. So he was doing like triples throughout the course of, he was going to the gym at night and he was doing extra, and he felt like he wasn't able to get out there. And sometimes you wonder how much that affects a body as you continue throughout the course of the beginning of the season.
The challenge for them is going to be, they're going to be two separate teams, because without Kyrie, Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, they are grinders. They're equal opportunity guys.
They play with structure.
They play team basketball, share the ball. They kind of remind me of the Clippers last year without Kawhi and Paul George. Okay, you drop Kevin Durant into that, and that's a great mix, because you got your superstar, and the other guys know their roles, will accept their roles. Durant can play sharing the basketball as he did in Golden State, but when you need to, I'm going to go get you a bucket. You bring Kyrie, and I think what you're going to have to do with those two, kind of like you did with LeBron in Cleveland, it was LeBron and Kyrie were the guys. They did their own thing, and everybody else just kind of fit in around them. It's going to have to be that in Brooklyn, I think. It's going to be Durant and Kyrie doing their thing, and everybody else fits in. But when Kyrie's not there, it's going to be a whole nother style of play. So it's going to be interesting.
That's tough, isn't it?
It is tough, but I almost feel like that's what this year is almost the use for that.
But you're not able to do it since Kyrie's.
Well, but that's not the off and on. The understanding that maybe things may be tweaked, or how you play on the floor is different. I also think Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert were the first guys to say we need to fit in when Kyrie. This is during the course of his 26. Right. We need to figure out how to fit in around him. So when you have teammates that embrace this concept, I think that's the first step to trying to figure out a way to make it work.
It's going to be fun to watch. And the East, as you said, it's getting better, but it's still not the West. So I think they'll have a shot. I wouldn't pick them to win the East next year, but I think they'll be a contender.
Talent changes things. There's a little bit of give and take. All right, coming up, can Bill Belichick win another Super Bowl without Tom Brady? That's next on First Things First. Speaking of talent.